25%. In a recent survey that was studying scientific literacy, American adults were asked, did they know if the Earth revolved around the sun? And 25% of them did not know that. 40% believed that dinosaurs and humans lived at the same time. And 50% don't know that antibiotics are not effective for viruses. But scientific literacy is not simply about what you know. It's not simply about a bunch of facts. That's important, but that's only a piece of the story. To be scientifically literate is about how you think. It's about questioning everything, about being skeptical. It's about being a critical thinker and an analytical thinker. It's about looking at the world around you, taking in information, a bunch of facts, and seeing what type of conclusions you can draw, as opposed to having a conclusion and looking for facts that fit the conclusion you already have. But doing that is not easy. Because often what happens is that statistics contradict what we have as our beliefs, what we have as our experiences, our personal narratives. So for example, it's cold outside. Therefore, the Earth is not warming. And we do this no matter how educated we are. There's something called a confirmation bias, where we seek out information that confirms what we already believe. To be open to change, to be open to truly changing our mind, to be truly scientifically literate is an incredibly difficult thing to do. There are 3 reasons why we need to care about this. The first is jobs. Because if you look at the history of our economy, what you see is that for decades and decades and decades, science and technology has driven our economy forward. Whether it's the Apollo missions of sending people to the moon, or unlocking the secrets of the human genome, or the technology companies of today like Apple or Facebook or Google. Science and technology creates jobs. And the jobs that it creates are good jobs. They're high-paying jobs. They're high-quality jobs. And they are jobs for all people at all levels of education. To give you an example, in New Jersey, in the next 3 years, we need to fill about 270,000 jobs in science, technology, and engineering. The second reason is personal, because each one of you today has to make decisions just about every single day that count upon you being scientifically literate. Should you vaccinate your children? If you don't feel well, should you go to the doctor? Should you try to cure yourself by looking on the internet? Or should you seek out alternative medicine? Should you purchase and consume genetically modified foods? You have to make these type of decisions every day. The third reason that you must be scientifically literate is because without being scientifically literate, you cannot be fully informed and participate in our democratic process. Because you are also asked to make decisions about things like climate change, about how much money we should spend on medical research, whether we should fund something that looks at the next cure for cancer, or whether we should put money into embryonic stem cell research and for the promise that it holds. We need scientific literacy for each of those things. So what do we do? I work with a team of scientists and educators that are trying to get at this at multiple layers, trying to get at this from the very young to the very old, get at this from students, teachers, to members of the general public. So let me show you a couple of examples. For more than 30 years in our community, in the wintertime on Saturday mornings, we hold public lectures in January and February for 2 months when it's cold and the weather is not nice. And we ask some of the leading scientists around the country to come here and talk about cutting-edge research. And we have hundreds of people coming out every single Saturday. And every year, the number of people that come out increases and gets more and more and more because of this great hunger to understand the world and what's going on when it comes to innovation. For students, we have a science competition. Not a sports competition, a science competition, where middle school and high school students come together and they compete about science. Teams come together and do a round robin from all over the state of New Jersey. And the winners get to go to Washington, D.C. and compete not in sports, but in science against the rest of the country because they love science. We also want to make sure that we don't miss anybody, that we get to everybody who loves science, those who are typically underrepresented. So for an example, last month we brought more than 400 young women from all over the state, from different towns, different communities, different backgrounds, different schools, here because they love science. And we introduced them to successful women scientists and engineers so that they had mentors and they had role models so that they could see that if these women could do it, they could do it. But if you want to become scientifically literate, you have to do science. Each of us has to actually do science. So for students, high school students and college students, we bring them to our laboratory and we challenge them to help us solve some of the great problems we face, like creating a new source of energy, clean energy. But teachers, science teachers, have to also, if they want to teach science, they need to do science. And so what we do is we bring teachers to the laboratory and we partner with NASA so that teachers design experiments that they can then try out on an airplane that NASA uses to train astronauts in microgravity. And teachers then bring this experience back to their classrooms so that by doing science themselves, they can start to teach students how they can do science. And last is for you. Because for you to become truly scientifically literate, you have to do science as well. And so one of the ways that you can do that is we now have new software that gives you remote control of scientific equipment. So if you have a computer and you have a connection to the internet, we now take equipment in our laboratory and we make it available to you so that you can do science. And this is equipment that you wouldn't get somewhere else, so that you can go ahead and start to say, how do I begin to solve some of the great challenges, whether it's personally, whether it's globally, or whether it's in our school systems. And so I'll challenge you with one more thing. And that is, never stop learning. Be critical of everything. Be skeptical of everything. Question everything, including what I just told you right now. Thank you.